There are moments in life when a single truth can shift the world, when a powerful voice reveals something so profound, it changes the way we remember a person forever. That moment came when Denzel Washington spoke about Chadwick Boseman's final days. The world thought it knew everything about the Black Panther star, but Washington's words dropped like a bombshell, revealing that Boseman had been fighting stage 4 colon cancer while filming his most iconic roles. This revelation wasn't just shocking, it was deeply moving. It made people realize that behind the charisma, the power, and the grace was a man enduring unimaginable pain, yet still giving his all. To fully understand the weight of Washington's tribute, we must look back at Boseman's journey, from a small town in South Carolina to becoming a global icon who transformed representation in Hollywood and inspired millions. Humble beginnings in Anderson, South Carolina, Chadwick Aaron Boseman was born on November 29, 1976, in Anderson, South Carolina, a quiet town where community and family were the foundation of daily life. His parents, Carolyn and Leroy Boseman, built a home based on values of hard work, respect, and love. Carolyn worked as a nurse, and Leroy worked in a factory, and together they raised 3 boys with a deep sense of purpose and discipline. Chadwick was the youngest, and he grew up surrounded by books, stories, and lessons that shaped his worldview. The family home wasn't simply a place to live. It was a space filled with inspiration. Conversations often revolved around history, culture, and the lives of trailblazers who fought for justice. These stories were not just educational, they were a call to action, and they planted the seeds of purpose in young Chadwick's heart. The book that awakened his purpose. One of the most influential moments of Chadwick's childhood came when he read the autobiography of Malcolm X. It wasn't a casual choice. It belonged to his older brother, and the story captivated him. At 12 years old, Chadwick absorbed the struggles and victories of a man who faced racial injustice head-on. The book didn't just inform him, it awakened him. It sparked a deep passion for equality and justice that would later guide his life and career. Chadwick's interest in storytelling began to merge with a desire to uplift his community. He was not only drawn to art, but to stories that carried meaning and power. The influence of Malcolm X stayed with him, shaping the way he saw the world and the roles he chose to play. Art, sports, and the spark of storytelling. Chadwick was a multi-talented child who found creative expression through both art and sports. He excelled in basketball, showing natural athleticism and competitive drive, but his true passion lay elsewhere. His artistic gifts were nurtured at home, where painting and sculpting were encouraged as forms of self-expression. But the spark that truly shaped his future came from the theater. Watching his older brother Kevin perform on stage, Chadwick was mesmerized by the power of storytelling. The stage wasn't just entertainment. It was a world where stories could move people, ignite change, and connect communities. This early exposure to performance planted the seed that would later grow into his life's mission. He realized that storytelling could be a tool for empowerment, and he began to imagine himself as someone who could bring meaningful narratives to life. High school and the birth of a passion. During high school, Chadwick balanced sports with his growing passion for storytelling. He continued to shine on the basketball court, but his heart was increasingly drawn to the emotional power of the stage. A pivotal moment came when a close friend was tragically killed. In response, Chadwick wrote and performed a play called Crossroads. This early work became a cathartic release and a declaration of his purpose. It proved that his talent was not just entertainment, it was a way to process pain and communicate deeper truths. The experience solidified his commitment to art, showing him that storytelling could be a bridge between personal experience and universal meaning. It also revealed that he wasn't just an actor, he was a storyteller with a mission. Howard University and the mentors who saw his potential. Chadwick's journey led him to Howard University, where he studied directing and deepened his commitment to storytelling. It was here that mentors like Felicia Rashad shaped his approach to art and life. Rashad encouraged him to apply to a prestigious program at the British Academy of Dramatic Arts in Oxford. The opportunity was life-changing, but financial barriers stood in the way. That's when Denzel Washington stepped in, quietly paying for Chadwick's tuition and opening a door that might otherwise have remained closed. The experience at Oxford expanded his understanding of craft and deepened his vision of storytelling. Howard and Oxford became the foundation of a career that would later inspire generations. With mentors like Rashad and Washington guiding him, Chadwick became not only an actor, but a cultural force. The grind of New York City and early struggles. After leaving Howard University, Chadwick moved to New York City, stepping into a world where dreams were tested daily. The city's relentless energy contrasted sharply with the supportive environment he had known in school. Auditions became constant, and rejection became routine. Casting directors often overlooked him, and when roles came, they were small and fleeting. But Chadwick didn't view these early experiences as failures. He treated them as training, each rejection building resilience, each small role sharpening his craft. He found refuge in New York's theater scene, writing and directing plays that explored identity, culture, and justice. His work was not just art, it was activism. He used theater to tell stories that mattered, reflecting the African American experience with honesty and depth. These early years were not setbacks, they were the foundation of his later greatness. The cultural revolution of Black Panther. When Chadwick was chosen to play T'Challa in Black Panther, it marked a turning point in cinematic history. The role was more than a superhero. It was a symbol of African pride, strength, and possibility. For Chadwick, the character aligned with his mission to represent Black excellence with dignity. He insisted that T'Challa speak with an African accent, believing authenticity was essential to the character and culture of Wakanda. Marvel initially hesitated, but Chadwick stood firm. The film premiered in 2018 and became a global phenomenon, shattering box office records and sparking a cultural revolution. Black Panther offered a vision of Africa rooted in power and innovation, not stereotypes. It gave millions a hero who looked like them, and it redefined representation in Hollywood. The film wasn't just entertainment, it was a movement. Life beyond fame, a quiet, private man. Despite his rising stardom, Chadwick remained deeply private and grounded. He married Taylor Simone Ledward in 2019, keeping their relationship largely out of the public eye. He preferred to let his work speak for him, avoiding the spotlight whenever possible. Chadwick's humility and integrity remained central to his identity. He also committed himself to philanthropy, supporting education and healthcare initiatives. He knew the value of opportunity, and he worked quietly to create it for others. Whether mentoring young actors or donating to scholarships, his generosity reflected his belief that success should be shared. He was not driven by fame, he was driven by purpose. And even as his star grew brighter, he stayed true to the values that had shaped him from the beginning. The Secret Battle, Cancer and Courage. In 2016, Chadwick Boseman received a diagnosis that would change his life: Stage 3 colon cancer. He chose to keep it private, sharing it only with his closest family. Even those working with him on set had no idea he was battling a deadly disease. Between chemotherapy, surgeries, and intense pain, Chadwick continued to work, delivering some of his most powerful performances. Roles in Marshall, Da 5 Bloods, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom required physical and emotional strength, yet he never let his illness show. When he passed away in 2020, the world was shocked. But the truth revealed the depth of his courage. He had fought a silent war while continuing to give the world his best work. His decision to keep the battle private wasn't secrecy, it was control. He wanted to be remembered for his art, not his suffering. Outro. A king who left a lasting light. Chadwick Boseman lived a life of quiet strength, deep purpose, and unwavering dignity. From his humble beginnings in South Carolina to the global stage of Hollywood, he never forgot the values that shaped him. He used his talent to honor history, uplift his community, and redefine representation. And when he faced the most difficult battle of his life, he fought it in silence, giving everything to his craft and to others. Denzel Washington's revelation only deepened the world's admiration, showing us the full measure of his courage. Chadwick Boseman was more than an actor. He was a hero, a storyteller, and a king whose legacy will continue to inspire hope for generations to come.